Cool. All right, so getting into the story then. Having narrowly escaped the winding tunnels of the Vegemig pygmy burrows, you take some time to rest in the shade of a large oak tree atop a hill, recuperating and refocusing yourselves. The petrified statue of Hugo, the Greyhound, silently watches over the green expanse of forest to your east, towards the sea. The air is cool and it washes over you in waves, a moment of serenity sharply contrasted by the bandaging of wounds and peeling of dried blood from your skin. Not your first brush with death lately, and you wonder if it will be your last, at least for a little while. Gathering your belongings, your party begins to travel south, back down to the town of Willowdale, instead deciding to follow the coast so as to avoid encountering any strays fleeing from the sundering of their burrows by the enraged purple worm that had been summoned. The salty sea air and sound of the encroaching tide running through the pebble shore is oddly refreshing, a pleasant change of scenery from the earthy dark that consumed most of your afternoon. Your journey is exhausting, but nonetheless eventful. Roga, your total companion, tightly holds Hugo's still grey body close, and your group travels in relative silence. The monotony provides considerable comfort, all things considered. As the evening draws near, the sun disappearing over the horizon, you begin to hear the sounds of civilization once again. Venturing back into the tree line to the west, you soon find yourself at the fence surrounding Hunter's Lodge and move to the door. As you approach, you can see that there's dim light seeping through the wooden window covers, and as you carefully unlock the door, you are greeted with the strong scent of burning incense. Off to the right, on top of the hefty wooden dinner table, is a large metal bowl, half filled with dull embers, atop of which lies a grate and various dried leaves and petals. Through the smoke, which drifts upwards towards a central chimney, is Hunter, currently propped up against the bed's head, book on their lap. Their eyes are wide as they seem in disbelief to see you once again. Oh, fuck. Oh, you actually made it back. I was certain that... Oh, no. Oh, is that my sweet boy? She kind of just looks towards you. What immediately seemed like relief, slowly transitioning to sorrow. They instinctively shift in an attempt to rise from the bed, but are greeted by a cruel reminder of the surgery on their leg only a day or so prior, which saved their life at your hands. Roga takes a deep breath and approaches, gently lowering Hugo onto the end of the bed as Hunter pulls their body more upright to make space. Trenk steps forward and begins to speak softly. By the time we arrived, he was already like this. It seems that he gave his captors hell for what they did. Even got a few of them petrified with him. I'm sorry that we weren't faster. It's just that... And he's suddenly interrupted by Hunter as they raise a hand. It's okay, lad. You had to make sure you could survive the journey. You've already gone above and beyond. Bringing him back. It's more than enough. Thank you, all of you. Truly. And they raise their head. They wipe tears that are starting to well up in the eyes with one of the blankets that rest around their waist. And Trenk speaks once again, reminding yourself and others of the current situation that you find yourself in. It may not be permanent. We were talking, and there might be ways to reverse the process. It wouldn't be cheap. A more powerful spellcaster than myself might be able to undo the curse. With the right materials and expertise. We didn't get a look at the creature, but if it was something like a basilisk, we could... And again, Trenk is suddenly interrupted. Hunter pulls themselves back up against the bedhead once again. Stop, that's okay. I know, fuck, I don't really want to ask them for help, but if it'll bring my boy back, look, I know I have no reason, no right to ask you for more than what you've already done. But I won't be able to go myself like this, as they gesture down to their leg, covered by the blankets, though you're fully aware at this point of what has taken place, this amputation. It'll be, another week or so before I can make that kind of trek, even with help. I need someone to see the high shields for me. I'm sure you're aware of them by now. It doesn't need to be right now, or even soon, but I mean, they're the only people around here that I can even consider that might have the kind of capability to reverse this. I mean, I personally, I fucking hate them, but, you know, they proper give me the creeps. But if you can't swallow your pride for the sake of your dog, well, you might as well have taken my head with the leg, and just nervously chuckles. If you're not up for it, maybe ask around town for me, for someone who might be willing. I've not got much gold to spare, but plenty of supplies, as you can see. Is there anything you would like to offer in response? As I open up the poll. So you can obviously do things like you can agree to... hang on, I'm going to reset the poll, actually, because we've already got stuff up there. Sorry, so the poll should be up. It's doing a weird thing. There you go. Eat dog? Okay, it's going to be one of those sessions. Well, you can't eat the dog anyway, because it's made of stone. Alright? Sorry to railroad you there. So, what would you like to do? You have completed this mission. There was no specific reward that was issued in this circumstance for finding the dog. It was essentially in exchange for the information that was given to you about the thefts. So essentially what I'm asking is if you want to go and see the high shields, or if you want to go to town to essentially find someone who will. You also, just to remind you, because the investigating the thefts was a quest that was given to you by the mayor, you do have to go to see the mayor to collect your reward for that. How does Tiefling Moon Elf work? Mechanically, is she a half-elf? We're using the custom lineage rules from Tasha's Guide to Stuff. So remember, these are not things that's like you have to do one or the other. It's just what are you doing right now? So people are voting to go and see the mayor, which makes perfect sense. You can kind of figure out where you want to go from there if you want. It's just kind of a kicking off point. At this point in time, you don't really know a lot about the High Shields. You know that they live up in their private estate, an old keep that had been given to them after the after what they had done for the town's saviors, as far as most people are concerned. But past the fact that you know that they are both doctors, you know absolutely nothing else. Oh, you also know that they're very reclusive. They rarely come into town. Okay, so deciding to go and visit the mayor, you exchange parting words with Hunter. Trenk recommends that you find somebody in the town to take care of Hunter, make sure that Hunter has daily supplies, and to check in when necessary to make sure everything is going okay. Can we not ask Hunter for more info? You can absolutely do that, yeah, if you want to. So you're going to go visit the mayor. I'll open up another poll just in case there's any things that you want to ask before you head out. So is there anything you want to ask Hunter about before you head out? So Cass, this would be an opportunity for you to essentially ask that question if you want. You are aware from the brief conversation you just had that Hunter doesn't seem to be particularly fond of the High Shields. You don't really know why that is. Okay. So, you decide to ask a couple of questions, just asking why Hunter seems to have such a strong reaction to the High Shields, given everything that you've heard that they have done for the town. Hunter discloses to you that, as far as Hunter is concerned, it all seemed a little bit too convenient. Yes, they very clearly saved the town from certain turmoil. That much is undebatable. But how they just swept in, cleaned up the situation within a couple of days, and then retreated to a keep that was granted to them, just seems suspicious. There's something that they don't trust about the situation. You kind of going back with your companions in this conversation, a little bit of grilling taking place, not really understanding why Hunter seems to be so eager to make these judgments. Hunter doesn't offer any significant information, any answers, just that they kind of just give them the creeps. There's a coldness to them, despite the good deed that they had done. Hunter just perceived them as unsettlingly meticulous. Something about the cold efficiency with which the task of rounding up and quarantining the undead on the Forlorn Parish took place. Okay, so carrying on then. For some reason, my stream deck button is not really working very well. I apologize for that. So, you proceed outwards, making your way back to the barracks, where you imagine you will be able to find Amberon, what was his name? Lucas Amberon, the mayor. At this time of day, as it is at this point, early evening. As you predicted, the two younger individuals that you had met before are currently getting towards the end of their training, supervised by Lucas Amberon. And you approach once again. Lucas Amberon seems surprised to see you again, as you have been gone for at least 2 days now, but asks you how the mission went. How do you respond? Oh, that's the right one, yeah. So essentially at this point, what I'm asking you is, how well do you tell him it actually went? So you can tell the truth, which is essentially telling him everything that happened, or you can try and, act a little bit tougher than you maybe are, or you can embellish the story to make it sound like it was even more difficult than it was. Things like that. Telling the truth. Okay, we can go with that. I don't think it's going to be suddenly overturned. So, during the conversation that takes place with Lucas Amberon, who is, for all intents and purposes, a very arrogant man, very impatient. There are moments during this conversation where he starts to kind of fidget with his foot, tapping it, in a very clear sign that he is running out of patience. But nonetheless, you go through this conversation and you unveil all of the information that you had discovered, such as that there was an infestation a couple miles out. They had taken over the north section of the forest. You had managed to infiltrate. You managed to, as far as you're aware, slay a significant portion of the colony. Either directly or indirectly. You had come across a nest situated within the space of that nest. You had seen a strange, dark, you assumed gemstone-formed obelisk, and you had essentially killed one of the chiefs, and upon doing so and slaying the purple wormlings that were summoned, fled from the burrows and you were fairly confident after doing so that the adult purple worm you assume that had been summoned after that had probably wreaked absolute havoc on the burrows themselves, and it's very unlikely that the colony would attempt to rebuild, knowing full well that there is such a significant danger nearby. So you're reasonably confident that even if it wasn't directly a result of your adventure, that you have more or less solved the Vegapygmy infestation situation. So, with that, let me go to this. Lucas Amberon seems maybe a little bit impressed, but given his disposition, you take that as a win. He offers up 7 gold each for both you and your companions. So a total of 21. I could do maths. 21 gold for the group. That is enough for you to live reasonably comfortably for a week. 28. That's not how math works. Owlbear doesn't get 7 gold split. Just you, Trank, and Roga. Oh, actually, Alaric is here. You're right. Alaric was not there. Was not there during the negotiations. This is something that is made as a point. Is that it seems as though Alaric was lucky enough to escape with his life, but there was no extra gold reward associated with that. So Lucas Amberon is driving a very almost cruel bargain here. Perhaps underpaying you for everything that you have done, as he says that he is only paying you for the task that you were asked to complete, which was investigating the thefts. If you want to do something, I will reset the vote. If you want to try and, convince or persuade or threaten the mayor to try and get a little bit more. Obviously, remember that how you approach the situation may well affect your future relationships with this individual. So I'll let this vote go for just a little while, because we've got a lot of different options as everyone's doing their best to be hilarious. I get it. I'm not judging you for it. But you'll have to come to some kind of decision. Meme or not, there will need to be something that resembles a group decision, as I cannot do a 1-1-1-1 split. Okay. So, you asked to negotiate. We are going to be going with our first dice roll of the day. So, opening the dice roll, this is going to be a persuasion check. Not something that you are terribly good at yourself, but you do not know how this individual will take it, so. Okay, so Shadow Squared redeeming a check bonus. I will narrate how that affects things as we see what the result of the dice is. So I'm going to close the giveaway. Gene, please type ! roll for us. And we'll see what we get. Okay, so it's a 3 minus 2, cancelled out by the check bonus, which makes it just a 3. So you do your best to convince Lucas Amberon to give you a little bit more than the asking price. Considering everything you have done for the town, you try your best to explain how this could have been so much worse if the Vegapygmy issue had not been addressed. But you start to lose Lucas Amberon's attention. He continues to tap his foot. You can see he's checking his watch, looking up towards the sky, glancing down at the 2 young individuals taking part in this training exercise, their military drills, and you don't feel that you have managed to get through towards Lucas at all. Watch? What century are we in? Clocks absolutely exist. It's not like a digital clock, right? It's a standard clockwork watch. Not terribly fancy, but all the same, exists. Yeah, he's not got the latest iWatch. So, you do not succeed in bargaining for a better pay, unfortunately. That watch is worth more than 21 gold? Oh, for sure. In fact, you know what? Give me a... Yeah, just give me a perception check. As you take a look at this watch. So you can enter with exclamation mark dice. Chrysanthus with another check bonus. Okay. Would resting at the inn restore our health and surges and spell slots ETC? Yes, it would, Elock, yeah. Taking a long rest resets all of your resources. But at least you have the money now to do that. To actually pay for your rooms. I believe that the innkeeper had given you a free day to just sit there and rest, as you'd clearly been through some shit. Because they want to, Gene. Don't question it. Okay, so closing the dice giveaway. All right, Cass. Hit us with that roll, Cass. You can do this, Cass. I believe in you, Cass. Maybe, Elock. Yeah, maybe. I could cast with a 5. So this, I believe... Hang on, I actually don't have the sheet open. So you have 5. Let me put that over here. For you, perception is a +7. So that brings us to... big old 12. I can do maths. Plus the spirit bonus brings us to 14. Okay, so throughout this conversation that has been taking place, through your attempts to negotiate with the mayor, you catch this moment where he seems to look down at his watch, and you're kind of trying to suss out whether or not you're getting lowballed, right? You're trying to figure out if this individual has a lot more wealth, whether it's in the form of items or coin, than they are letting on. Or if they're simply just giving you what they can. Taking a look at this watch, it's quite beautifully made. It is a very well-treated dark brown leather strap, and what seems to be a almost immaculate steel casing to the watch itself. It's not particularly interesting, but the amount of preciseness in the crafting indicates that this was made by a master clockwork expert. Whether or not it was a gift or not, you're not entirely sure, but this man very clearly has a taste for the finer things, and therefore you can assume they probably have something worth a lot of money in the form of various bits and bobs. As these strange spirit voices once again are kind of filling your mind, dipping in and out, you're unable to place their location or their source. They seem to be whispering things to you. Some of the voices telling you how he must be a cheapskate. Some of them telling you how he may just be doing all that he can. You choosing to listen to some of these voices over others. We are then going to go onto here. The source. Yes, the source. The voice of something beyond yourselves, trying to reach out and, for the most part, aid you. But sometimes it doesn't really feel like that is what is happening. So we are on... Closing this. So at this point, you feel fairly confident that you cannot get any more out of this man. It's up to you whether or not you want to essentially look for another quest to take on. You are aware from the conversation you had earlier that there are 2 issues that you chose to not resolve immediately that the town has. These are offered to you once again by Lucas this time. There is the giant crabs down towards the Hush, which is where the shore is, the Mariner's Lodge. And there are also the wolf packs that roam around the outskirts of the town, providing a significant risk to lumberjacks and various people who may wander outwards to try and find a means of acquiring supplies. So I'll reset the vote thing real quick. If you want to accept one of these missions, you can. But you don't have to immediately do it. This is not saying you have to immediately set back out. You have all the time you need to get back to doing these things. How much pay for quests? That's a fair question. Don't feel like you have to vote for it, though, SoKite. I can just tell you when these issues come up, essentially. When you've decided what your vote is, what the pay will be. I will tell you, though, that the pay for both quests is the same. There's no difference between the price of those quests. It is, however, lower than the one you just had, so it's going to be lower than 21 gold. As Lucas Ambron explains, that this is more of a brutish task. It's not something that requires particular finesse or intelligence. This is something that is very kind of bluntly put forward towards you. You are, I mean, not that you really had a lot of doubt, but you, as you know, your conversations are going on, are fairly certain that Lucas Ambron is a bit of a dick. And your negotiations with him have not gone terribly well. So you have enough money right now to survive for about a week. Yeah, you can vote to leave if you'd like. You don't have to accept this quest right now. You know, you could pull the old you could blank him, you know, ghost him for a little bit. We're currently 2 and 2. So what I'll do is we'll do a tiebreaker. The first person to reach 3 votes, or sorry, the first option to reach 3 votes will be the option that we go with. So if anybody wants to change their vote, there we go. That's 3, that's 4. Okay, easy peasy. So with that, you bid Lucas Ambron farewell. It's not a pleasant exchange. You take your money and then you simply turn and say, fine, and you just leave. Trenk kind of just calls over your shoulders back towards Lucas as you leave. Just says, you know, just saying, we'll be in the inn if you change your mind about our value. And as you kind of walk away, Trenk offers you a low 5. Do you take the low 5, chat? Hang on. This is important. Do you low 5? Is Trenk, he'll mess it up somehow? Thankfully, low 5 is not a terribly difficult task. Yes? Okay, give me an attack roll, chat. Attack the 5. Come on, you can do this. I believe in you. I want to see if this is an impressive low 5. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes when you kind of whiff it and it just ends up being kind of like a wet slap sound. Or you just completely whiff and it's just air, nothing but air. You know, if you're really going to impress Lucas Ambron, you got to nail this high 5. You got to show him that synergy. Closing the giveaway. All right, Cass. Hit with the roll, my friend. Okay, 9. You're proficient in low 5s. So this would be a total of 7. Which we'll see how Trank does. Excellent. It's a perfect setup. And with that, the low 5 echoes throughout this the courtyard of this barracks, bouncing off every wall around you and echoing into the skies above. Surely the gods themselves have heard how epic this low 5 was. As you slap a hand and take your leave. Okay. So, you begin wandering downwards towards the inn to find proper rest for the first time in what feels like a long time, although it's only been about 36 hours or so. A Thunder 5? Yeah, exactly, you get it. So you walk down around the outside of the Willow Halls, again as you travel up on the various ledges, on balconies, and on the ramparts around the top of the walls. You see that you are definitely drawing attention to yourselves. There are a couple of individuals that had walked towards the far side of the Willow Halls, towards the barracks, as they heard this echoing slap of something, perhaps worrying that it was some kind of collapsing tree or some kind of cannon shot. No worries, Max. But as they see you exit and they see you and Trank kind of smiling at each other, there's a moment where also Trank then goes to give Roga a low 5 as well. And they kind of get the idea. It's not quite as good as yours. Okay. It's about as good as yours. Roga slaps a little bit too hard, and Trank just kind of recoils his hand instinctively. And then Roga just seems to feel a little bit embarrassed. As the slap really did feel like an attack. But they kind of get the drift, and a couple of people are just kind of giggling and whispering between each other as you travel past. You follow the road past the stream, and you wind up back at the entrance to the Windbrook Inn. Let me just open up that map real quick. Where is it? Okay. So, back at the Windbrook Inn, where rooms are still reserved. You find yourself in the warm interior. At this point, as it is now early evening, there are various patrons currently sitting at tables, some of them at the bar. As you take a quick count, you guess there's about 5 other people other than yourselves who are currently deciding to either eat here, converse amongst themselves, or grab a drink or two. What do you tell the barkeep, Aaron, as you enter, and he asks about how things have gone? You can start by ordering a drink if you want to, or you can begin regaling Aaron with a tale of your adventures. Epic tale. Okay. So there's a lot of different things that are more or less the same, but you can obviously consolidate your votes into one if you so desire. But also beer, please. Okay, got it. Okay, so deciding to regale, as I said, Aaron the barkeep, Aaron Winbrook, with the tale of your adventures. You all sit down. You're offered up various snacks in the form of roasted nuts and roasted breads, with the equivalent of a medieval toast, essentially. As you all kind of sit around, buying a round of drinks. Well, actually not. You attempt to buy a round of drinks, but as you are telling this tale, and Aaron's daughter, Millie, has kind of hopped up onto the bar to listen to this story, Aaron kind of notices this and decides to give you your round of drinks for free and your snacks, so you do not pay for this little break here, as his daughter seems plenty entertained by it. I want you to give me a performance check, chat, to see just how impressive your story is. We're going to say you have advantage here, so I will ask for 2 dice rolls today in this specific circumstance. Ooh! Another bonus! Okay, Shadow. I hear you, I hear you. All right. So you have advantage here because you have your companions who are sort of reenacting various parts of the adventure between themselves, a little bit of theater going on, and some of them also chiming in at points to either correct you or embellish your story. Okay, closing the giveaway. So this is the first dice roll, Sokite. Let's see what the result of the first one is. So remember, we have advantage, which means that we will roll twice and we will take the higher number. Okay, so a 4 to start off with. Got it? We are going to be opening another dice roll, so feel free to enter this one. And we will see what we can assume. This one might be higher, but it might not be. We will take the highest result of the 2. Sokite still got it? Hell yeah. Sokite, consistent AF. Okay, closing the dice giveaway. Cass. Come on, Cass. This is your 3rd roll of the day? Question mark? I believe in you. It's a natural 20! Okay, so, your performance is not good, but that would bring it down to 18 and then back up to a 20. So essentially you cancel out the negative modifier of your performance check. So we're just going to call it a cool 20, you know, a dirty 20. As this takes place, something occurs that surprises you a little bit, but it kind of plays in to the story a little more than you imagine. As you start to gesture and to motion, retelling parts of this epic tale with the aid of your allies, you watch at moments as though it seems like smoke is being emitted from your fingertips as you gesture with them. And there's a moment where you wonder to yourself, you've seen this kind of apparition before, this strange spectral smoke, but usually no one else can see it, as you have seen various figures appear to you and nobody else. However, in this moment, it seems as though everybody can see this happening, and it only serves to better embellish and embolden your story as they change into shapes that resemble vegapygmies and purple worms, and sometimes boulders falling from the sky. And you're a little surprised, but it definitely does do the trick, as this spirit energy once more seems to almost involuntarily leak out of you into the material plane. So with that, I will say you are sitting there drinking, telling stories, conversing amongst yourselves and with Aaron, and at times there are patrons of this establishment that kind of just wander over to you, and they begin kind of crowding around you as well, listening to this story. Other people kind of interjecting with questions and asking you if this really happened, if that really happened, how could you have possibly survived? Some of them accuse you of lying, but then you give them the old flex of the arm. You show off the gun show, and they seem fairly convinced. And if they're not, they seem convinced that it's not a good idea to challenge your story. And with that, Aaron just kind of speaks to you a little bit as the lull begins at the end of the night. That was a fantastic story. And you all seem, at the very least, how should I put this bluntly? Your wounds, or what's left of them that I can see, seem to indicate that you at the very least had a very serious struggle. I'll tell you what. Take the week. You don't have to pay us a thing. But on one condition. You must come here again tomorrow, and hopefully the night after that, to tell us some kind of story. Doesn't have to be from around here, but this is the most excitement this place has seen in a very, very long time. Who knows? Maybe we'll have more people in tomorrow. At least as long as you're here. And he kind of just nervously chuckles to himself. Thank you. And Millie also kind of jumps down from the bar and offers a thanks of her own. So, with this, you have essentially allowed yourself to live in the inn rent-free for 7 days. So long as the stories keep coming and the money keeps rolling in. All right. So you do not have to pay for this night's rest, but as it gets towards what would be the equivalent of about 11 p.m., the sunlight has long since transitioned into a radiant white moonlight that seeps through curtains at the windows, and you all move towards your individual rooms to find rest. Okay. I'm just going to change the music real quick. Okay, here we go. So, you lie down to rest, and you find yourself falling asleep faster than you feel you have in a very long time. You have been questing, adventuring with Trank before you met the others for several months, trying to find some kind of lead, some kind of hint that might lead you back home to your own world. And there's this constant sense of pressure that has been weighing down on you from not only not finding anything to help you, but also the weight of trying to keep this secret. Although there's very little reason for anyone to suspect such a thing has happened, there is this constant sense of feeling out of place and feeling though you have something to hide as you've been traveling and interacting with others. This peace that you find from finally feeling like you've done something. It might not necessarily have been the thing that you set out to do in this new world that you found yourself in, but you feel like you helped people today and you made a difference, which is not something that you felt in a while. Obviously, you've been fighting for your own life, but to have the opportunity to fight for others once more, there is a sense of accomplishment and meaning. Are we developing romantic feelings for Trank? That's entirely up to you, chat. I don't decide that. That's on you. You fall asleep, Owlden, crawling up on the corner of your bed. We can? Absolutely, yeah, sure. But that's up to you to decide as a group. You know? You decide you want to offer Trank a little peck on the cheek one day, you could do that. That is entirely your decision. Seduce Trank. Okay. I mean, I guess I'll open a vote for you if you want. I mean, why not? If there's something you want to do overnight, you can tell me. Whether that is, you know, go outside for a walk, or, you know, talk with somebody else, whether that's Aaron, whether it's Roga, Trank, vote Lenny Face. Herb would like that one. Visit Trank in the evening, uwu. There's Herb. With the Lenny face. Alright, I'll give a couple of moments here because people are still voting on stuff. So currently we have 2 on walk, 2 on knock on Trank's door. I was watching a comp replay. How'd it go? What did you learn? We'll go for tiebreaker. You can do both of these things if you want to. I just want to confirm that that's what people actually want to do as a group. We won on 300 ping. Oh, wait, is that your pings added together, or are you actually playing on 300 ping? Because that's impressive. Winning on 300 ping is not something I think I could ever do. Actual 300 ping? What the hell? What server were you on? That's wild. You playing on, like, oceanic servers? 300 ping on NA? That's a lot of pings. You must have been on West Coast or something. Or your internet was just being weird, yeah, it's true. We can knock on Trank's door and ask for a walk. You know what, that's a great idea. Let's do both. Okay. That's fine, we'll do that. So I'm gonna close the vote. If it decides it wants to let me. Thank you. Okay, so. At about, you know, you're kind of lying in bed contemplating these ideas for a while. And it gets to about 1 in the morning as you're just kind of lying there and you decide to wander down the stairs. I'll say for the sake of it, Alden is fast asleep. So it'll be just you and Trank. You knock on Trank's door. He responds fairly quickly, indicating that he is probably up thinking about possibly the same things, but you can figure that out as you go for your walk together. He gratefully accepts your invitation to go for a walk, and both of you exit out of the side door, essentially, out into Willowdale once more. So, you are currently here. Where would you like to walk to? Can we get a silence check? Oh, do you want to leave in a way that you feel as though nobody's going to notice you? I'll open a poll. Just say you're gonna sneak or something. Sneak or no sneak? Sneaky sneak? Okay. Do you have the option to go to a strip club? I mean, you don't know if such an establishment exists here. You haven't asked. It might do. Does Shrink have armor? He does not have armor on right now. He's just going for a walk. You know? Takes him some time to actually remove plate armor. So he is not putting it back on again. He does not wear it for leisure purposes, so. You're both going for a walk just in your commoner's clothes. Yeah, so Trank will be slightly better at this than usual. Okay, so rolling a dice then if you want to give me a stealth check. My stream deck is acting up, chat's making me upset. Slightly, so a 4, it's just a straight roll. No modifier, no nothing. Just a straight d20 roll. No disadvantage. Luck of the draw. Alright, closing the giveaway. Bean! Please give us the roll. With a +9, I believe. Yes, +9 on our modifier. 6. Okay, so you get a total of 15. Trank gets 14. So, you both, not, you know, sneaking out in the regard that you're trying to not be noticed, but more that you're trying to not wake anybody up with you exiting, you know. Everybody's had a pretty long day today, for various reasons. So you decide to exit out. You close the door behind you. Where would you like to go? You feel confident that nobody is aware of you leaving the building. Where do you want to sneak to? You can just pick a location if you want. I'll zoom out a little bit. So you have the North Watch. You have the Forlorn Parish, which might be a bit more of a dangerous walk. You have the West Watch. You have the Willow Halls, the Barracks, the Hunter's Lodge, Cobbler Gage Farm, Mariner's Hush, East Watch, High Shield Estate. Hope we remembered our key. Can you imagine? Yeah, you bring the key with you. Casual stroll to the Forlorn Parish without weapons and armor. Let's go! Okay, so walking towards the West Watch. This was the way that you came into the town. So at the very least, you feel confident that you are traveling a path that you are relatively familiar with. So there shouldn't be any significant surprises. Okay. So you begin walking this direction. As you're trying to figure out how best to have conversation, you're not the best at maintaining, you know, a long talk, you know, struggling a little bit to think of what to speak about. Trenk does his best to keep up conversation. The first thing that he asks, it's the first thing that he says, it's not a question. He says that when you were all sitting around drinking and telling stories a couple of hours earlier, he managed to find an individual that would be willing to run supplies and check in on Hunter, at least for the next couple of days, to give you all and your group time to take in the town and take on more missions, if you so desire. So this has been taken care of. Just because he was aware that you were very preoccupied, and even though you were all busy telling various parts of the story, you know, there were various points at which he noticed that you seemed a little bit lost in thought, so he thought he would take care of this himself. Not entirely surprising for you. You know, you've known Trenk to be very thoughtful and considerate over your time. Is there anything that you want to talk to Trenk about? I am opening it up. Fantastic, thank you very much for the follow. I really appreciate that. Welcome to the Cozy Club. If you were a Transformer, you'd be Optimus Fine. Admit romantic feelings? I mean, it's up to you, chat. You don't have to force it if you don't want to. But if it's what you want your character to do, that is definitely something you can do. Listen, I know we have horrible pickup lines. Look at us. You are not wrong. You definitely read those in a book as a child, and it's like the one romantic thing you remember. I'm not going to do this necessarily as something where you have to have the most popular vote for all of these. If it's going to be something like admitting your romantic feelings, then I do need majority vote. but for everything else, I can just go through these things one by one. You don't have to like get all of them in there. We look amazing, but we don't need good pickup lines. I mean, in most situations, probably not. Carried by genetics. Friend zone? Oh my god. Okay. So, you decide to discuss your next adventure. Trenk wonders essentially what the future holds with you and this place. He's been in various towns and cities before. It seems like if your goal is to continue your journey, to find an answer, to find a way home, this may not be the place to do that. But nonetheless, if they want to gain the influence or the connections to do so, it's not a bad place to start the journey. Whether it is Lucas Amberon, the High Shields potentially, or somebody else, there may be people in this town that know something that can point you in the right direction. As you do not know a whole lot about this world, you know that it shares cultural similarities to your own, but the places are all different. The workings of society, you know, the famous housings, the people in power are all different. So you're really sort of on your own at the moment, fumbling through the dark, so to say. So at the very least, Trenk seems to be of the opinion that doing odd bits and bobs, earning a little bit of coin so that you can potentially travel to somewhere a little bit more busy, with a little bit more renown, with more individuals that might have answers for you, is not a bad shout. Essentially just confirming that this is a good stepping stone towards your larger goals. And that taking on other quests here may not be a bad idea. You also choose to vent about the concerns about being outsiders in this town, and Trenk agrees with you. Trenk says that usually in areas where there's been some kind of traumatic event, people tend to become very reclusive, very closed off, and very untrusting of others. He's not entirely sure if the arrival of these individuals, the High Shields, these saviors, these strangers to the town, essentially, that came out of nowhere, will make your journey here easier or more difficult. But you hope that through taking on the various tasks around the town, which this town doesn't seem to have the resources themselves to do, you may be able to work your way in and earn favors with hopefully the right people, or at the very least get a reputation as a group of people who want to help. He says that it may not be a bad idea to not necessarily gloat or to drive too many hard bargains, either with the locals themselves or with those in power like Lucas Amberon, because he thinks that doing that may give them the impression that your group, your traveling party, is only in it for the money. If your goal is to make yourself feel like you are more of an insider, then you may want to not necessarily deny what you've done, but just approach it with a certain amount of candor. Okay, what else was there? You ask Trenk how he is feeling about the whole situation. Trenk admits to feeling somewhat unsettled about everything that seems to be going on in this town. In situations that he has been in, back in your home world, usually when there's an outbreak of undead, you know, whoever is in power sweeps in to eliminate the undead forces before they can grow too large. And he has concerns about the fact that they seem to have found a temporary solution in quarantining these undead to the Forlorn Parish, but he can't help but wonder how long that's going to last. eventually someone is going to make a mistake, or the undead are going to get lucky and find a way off the island, intentional or not, and somebody is going to pay a price. And he can't quite figure out why everyone in this town, regardless of their personal feelings, seems to be so adamant about this happening, why they seem to be more at ease with the idea of the undead villagers being secluded in this one area as opposed to simply laying the dead to rest. So he is glad that you have all survived your recent adventure, but he can't help but feel that there is a lot more to come if they decide to stick around. And that makes him a little nervous. And Trank is a fairly nervous person. This is something that you have realized over time. He says that it's admirable that they're trying to hold on to something that was lost for this long, but he personally has very little faith in the idea of returning the undead to life. At least with his knowledge. Okay, I'm just going to reset the poll, because obviously it only shows the top 4. Okay, so, because you have, yeah, you know, I'll keep this open. I'm not gonna pull it. If you just want to ask questions in chat, I think that'd just make it easier, and we can just do like an ongoing dialogue as you continue to walk. So Sokite says he wants to ask about Theon. So you're about here. You're just approaching the Westwatch Tower at this point. You discuss with Trank the fact that he has doubts about whether or not they made the right decision in the short term. Trank seems to be on board with the idea that Theon is definitely a problem, and it wasn't necessarily the wrong decision to try and deal with it more immediately, as problems tend to stack upon one another and compound themselves, and before long you can find yourself in a situation when you're unable to solve any of them, and they all just come crashing down. The way that he describes this, you get the sense that this is definitely something that has happened to him before in the past. But he feels as though, given the fact that Theon seemed to be walking around, resting even in werewolf form, even during the day, that it may be that Theon is unable to return to human form, and that at the very least may mean that Theon would have a lot of trouble approaching the town unaccosted. Hello, Kitty. Good to see you. I see you getting cozy there. You love to see it. So he feels as though, for as long as you're in the town, it is unlikely that Theon is going to be an immediate problem for you. Though you will have to keep an eye out, ear out, etc. As you travel around the surrounding forest areas. Want to become the undead overlords? You pass this off as a joke. He kind of chuckles. Actually, probably the first real laugh he's had in a while. And then just kind of shakes his head. Just immediately dismissing it as a joke. Whether or not it was, you're not sure. So, are there any other questions that you want to ask or things that you want to talk about with Trank as you go on your midnight walk? And you are now essentially at the tower itself. You both kind of take a perch on the just outside the stone steps that lead up towards this abandoned tower. It doesn't seem like anyone has any questions, so I'm gonna open up. Oh, hang on, Cass has got a question. Ask him when was the last time he felt close to someone. I need you to give me a persuasion check. as he seems a little reluctant to discuss personal details. This is something you know from the past. So this will be a persuasion check to see how sincerely he interprets it, as opposed to just a, you know, random question you might ask anyone. How much care he perceives there being in your words and your tone as you ask. Closing the giveaway. Okay, Avenger. This will still have our -2, but the number that you have to meet will be a lot lower than usual. Not that you need it. With a total of 17. You have this moment of surprising sincerity between the two of you. As for the first time in a long time, you start to have what you would consider to be a more real and honest conversation. During this moment, Trenk discloses to you that Trenk has not had any sort of serious friendship or connection to anybody since he was in the military. Whatever took place there, and he still doesn't seem to be willing to disclose what exactly might have happened. But it left him really struggling to connect with people, and he feels grateful, despite how awful everything has been since the two of you met. The situations that you found yourself almost impossible for him to comprehend prior. He is grateful that because of those circumstances, it has forced him to trust in other people again and to essentially connect with people while he otherwise was unwilling to do so. So you get a sense that it's been a long time. We're talking years at the very least since Trenk has had any kind of significant connection to anybody probably out of fear, not just, you know, for being connected to people, but also how they connect to him as well. I am going to open a poll here. Because this came up earlier, I'm going to ask you whether or not you want to pursue a more romantic relationship or not. It is entirely up to you. You can say no or yes, not to say that this will never happen in the future, but whether or not you feel like this is the right time for that. No, fuck love. Ooh, spicy. Okay, so pretty unanimous. There's a moment where this crosses your mind as you feel this sincerity being exchanged between the two of you. And there's that moment that a lot of people have over the course of their life where they decide to consider, even for a brief moment, whether this feeling that you have, this attachment that you have, is romance or just care. And at this point in time, you decide that you feel your connection with Trenk growing, but it doesn't really feel like something that is romantically inclined. So I'm going to close the vote. Okay. I will ask one last time before we move back, as your walk comes to an end, whether or not there's anything you want to converse about. You can just say in the chat if there is. You don't have to vote for it. Listen, Cass, maybe they just think it's too soon. You know? It's just too soon. Like, you need to go through at least 5 or 6 life-threatening encounters to start considering if you love someone or not. It's only been like 3. Hello, Saf. Have you heard of the sponsor of this video, NordVPN? I wish, Max, I need some of that sponsorship money. We can set up a couple more. Ooh, okay, Bean. Sabotage for love. Okay, cool. So, you begin heading back towards the inn. You're traveling back at a pretty light pace. Takes you about 30 minutes or so, walking back along the river's edge. As you get back towards the Windbrook Inn, you hear something beyond the building itself, back towards trees at the rear of the establishment. It seems to be at least two individuals having some kind of conversation, though you can't make out the words as they're talking very quietly and they are out of sight. You're not sure who it is. So, what would you like to do? Opening the pulp? It's sus? Maybe. Good to see you, Susanna. Seems we have raised your suspicion. Eavesdrop? Alright. Okay. I need a stealth roll, chat. I'm gonna roll for Trink. It's not great. Let's see how you do. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, closing the giveaway. Avenger. Avenger, please roll that dice. Let's see if Avenger gets that chaos. Okay, pretty fucking good. It's 24 total. I love Avenger's like, no, what have I done? I was supposed to unbalance the force, not bring balance to it. Okay. As you begin to walk... In fact, I'm going to split everybody out here. 1 second, sorry. In fact, I'm just going to hide them. You don't need to be on here. All right, Trank. And... Belandria. Next roll I get, I donate to Sokai. Yeah, I can't do that. It's the system. I'm so sorry. Unlucky, I guess. It's just not how the system works. It doesn't support it. It's not on me. That's not on me. I'm sorry. If I could, I definitely maybe would. But I can't. Okay, so you wander and you kind of stealth along the side wall here. There are a couple of moments where you have to stop. You glare at Trank. And he glares back at you and then realizes, oh, shit, sorry. As it seems that he was about to step on a fairly sizable branch that was just lying immediately in his path. He just steps over it. With your aid, you feel fairly confident you're able to move pretty quietly. Oh yeah, it's so kite now. It's definitely so kite now. Doesn't apply. Okay. So, I need a perception check from you, chat. See what you make out from this conversation. They seem to be fairly close around this corner, so you don't feel as though you'll be able to look around the corner itself to take a look at the situation without possibly immediately notifying whoever is there. If they happen to be looking in your direction, they're going to see you immediately. There's no way for you to peek around the corner unnoticed. So this is going to be entirely based off how much you can hear. Okay, closing the dice roll. Herb, hit us with that roll, please. Okay, pretty huge. 22 total, 15 plus 7. As you listen out, you're trying to catch details, not just about what's being said, the context of the conversation taking place, but also the tone of these individuals, trying to identify them, seeing if they are individuals that you are familiar with. This conversation is definitely taking place between two individuals. One of them you recognize the voice of. This is the voice of Aaron, the innkeeper, where you're currently staying. The other voice you do not recognize, although it seems incredibly deep. You're unable to tell any kind of detail about it, such as, or any details about that person, whether that be their race or anything along those lines. But there's something that seems almost kind of alien about it, something unusual, something possibly unnatural. It seems at points as if the accent changes mid-sentence, or the tone shifts ever so slightly, and it almost gets to the point where it seems like it could be a different person, though you're perfectly aware from the words being exchanged that it is very certainly only two people talking, just that one of them, the voice keeps changing ever so slightly. You're not entirely sure why. The context of the conversation is this. Aaron seems to be talking to someone almost in a sort of briefing fashion. Aaron is telling them about the current situation, people that have stopped by the inn. This individual asks about somebody who they simply refer to as the travelers. And Aaron says simply he's decided to give them shelter for a week. They seem to be getting very popular with the locals. And you assume from context that he's talking about you and your group. This individual, unidentified, then simply reminds Aaron to keep a close eye on them, or you, given the context. And Aaron agrees, and then the conversation comes to an end. Aaron then, you can hear, starts to walk around in your direction. I need to ask you if you are going to essentially make a quick dart for the door, or if you're going to confront him. As he is heading in your direction. Pretend to be returning. Interesting. Oh, we're going for a confront here. Okay. So we're 4 and 2. Okay. So, as Aaron emerges from the corner, around the wall, from out of sight, immediately you are both standing there, propped up against the wall, with your arms crossed, staring right at him. And he almost stumbles backwards, tripping over a bush, as he realizes that you're right there waiting. You simply speak out, asking him who he was talking to. And why were you talking about yourselves, your group? Aaron kind of fumbles over his words for a time, and then lets you know that, I was simply speaking to one of the mayor's squires. I am a first point of call for many new arrivals in the town, and I wanted to make sure that Lucas was kept up to date with all new goings on, though apparently from the conversation that I was having, he was already fairly keenly aware of your group, and there was no need to report at all. But, I mean, now I know, right? It is fairly obvious that Aaron feels very nervous about this. So I'm going to ask you to do an insight check. You are already suspicious, but you really want to get a sense of what parts of the story may be true and what parts may be a lie. Sure thing, bud. Put your hands up. Oh, damn. Okay. Oh, dip. This is my inn now. Thanks, Nightbot. Lie check. Oh, you don't have to do that, Cass. I'm already doing it. I'll give you your points back. Stabby herb is coming out. Oh, you seem keenly aware of the stabby herb. All right, close in the giveaway. Maximus. All right, Max. Insight check. This has a +5. Okay, so a total of 23. So there are parts of this story that are true, though you get a sense that it was more a sense of Aaron using a basis that was not a lie, and then manipulating a story around it. It is true that, or you get a sense that you get a sense that it is true that Aaron was giving a report to someone. You do not believe it was to Lucas Amberon's squire. You get a sense of the fact that when Aaron talks about notifying whoever this individual was of the appearance of, groups of travelers such as yourselves, you believe that that is true. That is something that Aaron does, though you don't believe it's for the reasons that he gave. You believe that there's something more to why he might be doing this. Though obviously you're not entirely sure what. So the story is based in truth, but there are details that are definitely fishy about it. You do not know if it is something more sinister, but Aaron is very clearly up to something or is involved in something. You get the sense that he doesn't seem to be terribly excited about what he's just done. I will say that much. He didn't seem eager to disclose these details to whoever he was talking to. So, I'm going to close the vote. What would you like to do learning this information? In case it wasn't clear, I'll just clarify. It's very obvious that Aaron is wrapped up in something. You just don't know what it is. And and it seems to, at least in part, involve you and your group. Interrogate, perfect spelling, Max. Immaculate. Interrogate. Okay, so I'm going to need an intimidation check from you, chat. So for this, we're going to do what's called a variant skill check, which means that instead of using your charm or your wits... Ooh. Excellent timing, Herb. Okay. So, imbuing yourself with some of this spirit power, you're going to see how much better you can do on this check. Instead of using your wit or your charisma, we're going to be using your physical strength, your physical presence for this intimidation. So it will be with a +2, add another 2 from the spirit bonus, which brings it to a +4 total. I'm going to close the giveaway. Oh, Herb at the last second steals the roll. Okay. Herb, hit us with it. Dirty 20? Okay. So, you tower over Aaron, making yourself bigger, more intimidating, almost like a beast would. Its fur would stand on end. You kind of tense in various areas, clicking your knuckles as you move towards him, as he's tripped over onto the ground on this bush, staring down with this ominous look in your eye. And before you notice it, you could stop it, you notice that some of this spirit energy, this strange smoky spectral mist has floated out of your eyes and is drifting away as you've been staring down at him for a couple of seconds. And he stares up at you with intense fear on his face. He continues to stumble word over word, trying to think of something to reassure you, but seems to be failing. He looks up towards you with this intense fear in his eyes. And that's where we are going to halt the narrative for now, because there is one more thing that I want to do before we end the stream, as you have leveled up to level 4. But that's where the story will stop for today's session. I wanted to get us to a point where I'd figured out what you were going to do next. And this brings us to a natural cliffhanger point where we can continue next session.